ESPN's exclusive coverage of NCAA basketball is brought to you by Bud Light. If you want great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down, make it a Bud Light.
We welcome you back to Cameron Indoor Stadium in Durham, North Carolina. The Blue Devils of Duke taking on the Xavier Musketeers. Here are the starting lineups for tonight's game. For the Xavier Musketeers, Michael Hawkins is going to have to deal with the pressure that is playing at Duke.
Yeah, he's a combo guard, and then he's an excellent ball handler, one of their better three-point shooters, very competitive, maybe their hardest working player.
7 of the last 8 years, Pete Gillen has been in postseason play. He's taken his team as far as the Sweet 16, ultra successful now in his 9th year. And for the Blue Devils of Duke, the player that has to step up offensively this year is Antonio Lang from a numbers standpoint.
And in their first 2 games, he posted his only career double-double, so off to a strong start.
Not much more that can be said about Coach K. The job that he's done in his 14 years in resurrecting this program. It all began in the early 80s and culminated with becoming the elite program in college basketball by the time the 90s got underway. As usual, the joint is rocking.
And one.
Already today, the upset of #1 Kentucky means that Duke has a chance to move up into the top 5. Cherokee Parks last year 65% from the floor. That was good enough for 4th in the nation. He'll be going up against Brian Grant tonight, who was #2 in the nation. He is outstanding, and when you look at a matchup advantage, this may be where Xavier has one.
Certainly, he's very athletic, as I mentioned in our open. Brian Grant, a potential first-round pick, loves to drop step and shoot the turnaround jumper, and has historically played big in big games.
The key for Xavier, get to the first TV timeout without being embarrassed, because this is the most difficult road game Pete Gillen has had in his 9 years with the Musketeers. Opening tip, control to Xavier.
Look for Duke to be very aggressive in their man-to-man defense throughout. I was here at practice yesterday, and that's all they talked about.
Well, that was a great look from Grant inside to Michael Hawkins. It didn't go down, but the play was beautiful.
Well, what happens when you see tremendous pressure on the ball? If you just stay active and cut, you have a chance to beat your defender back door.
Tyrese Walker, #34, operating high. Xavier's half-court game has been a problem in the early going, but not this time.
We highlighted the right guy, huh, Tim?
You bet. Michael Hawkins, right out of Canton and right into the scoring column.
Tremendous tradition at Canton McKinley High School, where he played. Gary Grant, a member of the Los Angeles Clippers, played with Michigan in college. Phil Hubbard, an outstanding collegiate and pro.
Lang with a turnaround in the lane. He does draw the foul. Grant picking it up.
Here you see Antonio Lang just flashing to the ball. Walker late getting there. Nice drop step. And then Strong to the rack. Able to draw the foul on Grant. He didn't care for that call too much.
He'll have to stay out of foul difficulty tonight in order for Xavier to hang around in the late going.
Look at the improvement in Antonio Lang's numbers. A wind draft got a hold of that free throw, though. Pushed it wide right.
Senior from LaFleur High in Mobile, Alabama. Highly touted, and until the opening of this year, hasn't really lived up to the advanced billing. Consistency has been his problem. If he could just be consistent, then he'd be what everybody expects him to be. Oh, another long bomb. Hawkins again. He has 2 of them, and it's a 6-1 Musketeers lead. I'd say they're well on their way to getting to that first TV timeout in good shape.
And they've got to jump on it.
Foul off the ball against Cherokee Parks. Vicky Paparo spots it. Veteran ACC official. Steve Gordon also crewing this with Mike Wood. As you look at Pete Gillen, Admittedly, an eccentric by Cincinnati standards.
Well, we had a great time with him this morning.
He is something special. All those years he spent with Rollie Massimino and Digger Phelps, he's formed a rather charismatic whole after being with those two guys.
He certainly has.
Grant took steps. Turnover for Xavier.
Grant has missed probably 12 to 14 of Xavier's 20-plus practices due to a sprained knee. So he's not operating at 100% efficiency, although he's close to being completely healed. He missed a lot of repetition work, and therefore his timing may be just a little off.
Kenny Blankney being dogged and fouled by Gentry.
You know, one of the things that Pete Gillen was a little concerned about was a quick whistle. And in that particular case, there was pretty good pressure here. I don't know if there was enough contact to merit a foul. Let's take a look. Gentry bothering Blakeney. Casper.
Cherokee Parks finds Blakeney up high and stepping into the passing lane. Grant, 3 quick turnovers by the Blue Devils. Inside-outside game between Grant and Hawkins. Oh, what a look to Grant. Oh, sweet kiss off the glass.
Doesn't get much better than that when you talk about inside-outside action for the Musketeers.
8-1. Xavier quieting the crazies at Cameron. Marty Clark. The first field goal of the game for the Blue Devils comes 2 minutes and 25 seconds into the first half.
And Grant Hill has yet to really get any type of significant touch.
Sykes speeds Grant. He draws the foul. Cherokee Parks picks up his second. The assist turnover factor for Duke relative to ball handling, there you see it illustrated. And that's obviously due to the fact that Hurley's not around.
It's all about decisions, not only in transition, but also in your half-court game. And it's certainly an area of concern for Coach Krzyzewski.
Mike Bray by his side, along with Pete Cadet, two of the finer assistant coaches you'll find in the country.
You know, Marty Clark in the starting lineup to give Duke a more experienced unit to start the ball game, but they're still dealing with answering the question of who's going to make plays for them in transition and in the half court. Grant Hill certainly has the ability to do that, but he needs touches in areas where he can be effective.
A little later in the game, you're going to see a freshman of influence out of Fayetteville, North Carolina, Jeff Capel, who they really believe is capable of starting by midseason.
Very good-sized point guard, knows and thinks the game. The coach's son, plays with great intensity. Pretty good pressure on the perimeter, and Brian Grant and Sykes doing a pretty good job inside for the Musketeers.
Lang drives baseline and finds the hoop. First basket for Antonio Lang. Little warning because of the touch of the basket as it went through the hole, giving obviously Duke a chance to set up defensively.
Little gamesmanship.
Gentry working on Blakeney. Grant recognized the double team and gave it up. The end result, Tyrese Walker knocking it down. 11-5, and some great decisions being made offensively by this Xavier team early. Hill, a runner. First basket for Hill, 11-7 our score. Cherokee Parks takes it away. 2 turnovers now by Xavier. Hill feeds Marty Clark. Three quick baskets for the Blue Devils to get the camera crazies back in it. Sykes not known for his shooting ability. The iron definitely untied. You asked for it, you got it. As we mentioned at the top of the show, Bobby Hurley's exit means that the changing face of this Duke program, though it may have the titles, he was instrumental. I mean, he was
Well, you know what he did, Tim, is he made everybody else's job a little easier.
Yep.
Not only offensively with his penetration and ability to find open people and knock down the big three, but defensively, he'd pressure the ball. So that means your wingmen and your inside people have a little easier time defensively. So he pretty much made it easier for everybody else on the floor.
Pete Gillen's got to feel good about his team early. I mean, they are playing very, very well in the half court.
Exactly, and he was concerned a little bit about their execution and ball handling, but no problems thus far. Good pressure here. I'd expect to see this. A smaller guy on Grant Hill. That's Steve Gentry as Meek scored, but I think he walked before or got called for the offensive foul.
He did. You'll wave it off. You see Eric Edwards has come into the game, and Gentry there playing the defense.
Take a look at Meek. There he is, fronted by Sykes. Actually, that was Eric Edwards and just pushed off ever so slightly.
Edwards is a senior from Wilmington, Delaware. He's on the floor now with Jeff Massey, number 30 in blue, coming off the bench for Pete Gillen. Massey can ignite a team offensively from the perimeter. Sykes, well, he's thrown up a couple of bricks his last two efforts. Antonio Lang turns it over. Traveling, and 4 turnovers now against this Blue Devil team.
Well, that has been a problem in the first 2 games for Duke. More turnovers than assists, and also more turnovers than the opposition.
Chris Collins now checking Gentry. They've been somewhat critical, the Duke staff, of Collins defensively. That's why Marty Clark drew the starting dive tonight. Collins obviously can bomb it from 3-point range.
Duke showing a little bit of a matchup zone here, just trying to be active and aggressive.
Massey. Sykes keeping it alive. Boy, he's a tough kid. He turns it over. He took steps. But you have to admire Sykes is that kind of role player. He's not a scorer. Pete Gillen wants him to earn his fouls and play with tenacity.
Well, he's their 5-0 guy, the enforcer. Take a look. Great work here to time this rebound, and then he just got bumped. Actually, he shuffled his feet before the bump, and he wanted the whistle, but I think he walked before he got hit. Good work, though, to get over the top on that offensive rebound.
Junior out of Toledo, Ohio, and St. Francis de Sales High School.
Yeah, we were over at the hotel where the Xavier Ball Club and many of their fans are staying. Had a chance to meet Larry Sykes Sr. and chat with him. Dad is just as big as Larry Jr. Looked me right in the eye.
He said, "You're calling the game, right?" Yeah. Remember, my son. Collins with a quick first step and a good look to Lang. Clean block from the back from Tyrese Walker. Duke had probably some concern about their half-court game. What they may not have known or understood was how quick to the ball the Musketeers really are.
This is a very quick team. That's one of their strengths, their quickness and probably their depth. Pete Gillen will show you 8 to 10 guys.
Hill on the offensive boards. A sweet one with the left hand.
That's why I said his game is high power.
Grant. Pulled down by Eric Meek, and Edwards picks up the foul. What's coming up next? We've got some basketball with number 3 Kansas taking on DePaul. Richard Scott and more will be on display. And then football. You heard the music. We're going to bring you the battle for roses coming from Tokyo. Number 10 Wisconsin against number 25 Michigan State. Should Wisconsin win, they go to the Rose Bowl. If they don't, the Buckeyes of Ohio State get there. I'm sure Special K will be watching that one closely.
You're exactly right.
11-11 our score. Tim Brando along with Clark Kellogg. Happy to have you with us here from Cameron Indoor Stadium.
Here you see Grant Hill's versatility. He's bringing the ball up the floor, setting the offense up, guarded by Tyrese Walker. A little switch there.
Capel has come into the game. Lang finds the avenue, and it's tipped through by Eric Meek. In the last 4+ minutes, it's a 10-2 run for the Devils to claim the lead for the first time.
Nice job by Grant to step out and release pressure.
Edwards knocks home a tray. Eric Edwards at 6'8" brings one home.
You know, when we talked to Pete Gillen this morning, he mentioned that Eric Edwards isn't that great an athlete, but he has excellent hands and a nice stroke. Showed it to us there.
More and more we're seeing the big guys in college basketball that can come out to the perimeter and soften up play inside. Hill off the back iron, they'll wave it off. A push against Hill.
That was a nice take, though, by Grant Hill. Just backed Tyrese Walker down and then got him up with the pump fake. Good move, just didn't get the shot.
Antonio Lang taking a seat there as Blankney has come back into the game, and Cherokee Parks will check back in the next dead ball.
And the play that Grant Hill just made a moment ago, those are the kinds of plays I think he has to be more ready to make. Look for his own offense a lot more.
Doing a much better job in the last few minutes in surprising Grant with those double teams.
Well, they're going to come from the weak side. Typically with Grant Hill, they're going to let him come and double down simply because he's quick enough and athletic enough, and then he's got extra size at 6'8". He can create a problem as a guy double teaming the post.
Oh, there's a great double team that Blankney was not ready for. Good look to Grant, and he's fouled by Capel coming from the backside. Big day in college basketball as well as football, and coming up at halftime we'll have more where that's concerned. In hoops, Georgia Tech and Georgia State just underway. Ramblin' Wreck derailed in the Tip-Off Classic since that time, trying to find their offensive game, particularly inside from James Forrest.
Well, he's been bothered by a sore heel, so as he gets healthy and gets in the top shape, they're going to be a hard team to handle. A lot of pro scouts here tonight. We bumped into Marty Blake and Scotty Sterling, amongst others, here to watch quite a few NBA prospects here. Grant Hill certainly one, and the guy at the foul line, Brian Grant, another.
Look at those quick hands from Michael Hawkins. Well, he nearly stripped Cherokee Parks.
Very active.
15-13. 2-point lead for the Musketeers. They are calling it closely in this game. Steve Gentry picks up another one.
Take a look. There it is. Just a little bit of a chest. And Gentry guilty. That's twice now that Gentry has been whistled for a foul that is questionable at best. Davis owning the out of bounds.
Capel cross court to Hill. Rims out. Cleared by Eric Edwards. Quick push from Hawkins. Parks clears it. Hawkins' hands get in the way again. Wow, are they quick hands. Hawkins again. He's doing everything but scoring at this point.
And the ones he's missed have gone halfway down and then jumped out.
Blankney is free. Another takeaway. This one by the general, Brian Grant. Gentry. Both teams struggling from the floor now as the game appears ragged the last couple of moments.
Everything on the perimeter, Tim. And a game can look very good or very bad depending on what the perimeter shots are doing. When they don't fall, it can have a tendency to look a little sloppy. Duke going to settle down now and try to run an offensive play to get something good inside.
Collins just slipped on the floor that time. We'll go back over to Xavier. 8 turnovers for Duke already. That has been the problem in the first 2 wins, both against Northeastern and the Citadel. They were concerned about that aspect of their play, and Collins checks out. Eric Meek comes back in.
I would think Xavier now would look to come down and let Brian Grant get a touch. The last few possessions, they've actually had decent shots, but they haven't gotten it inside at all. They want to play inside out.
Jump stop by Gentry. Last touch by Duke. Mike Krzyzewski can't believe it. Dick Paparo awarding it to Xavier.
Well, what I think you saw there is possibly there was a little contact, and the official felt that in making that contact, maybe one of the Duke players got a hand on it. Let's take a look. Gentry going to try to penetrate here. Beats Blakeney, gets the shoulder by. And see, there's a bump. Clearly, the ball was shot out of bounds, but I think because the foul wasn't called, possession was given to Xavier.
Xavier, a lot of misses recently. They may be living on borrowed time until Duke gets hot. But the defense down low for Xavier has been good.
Active hands. I think Brian Grant may have picked up foul number 2. Grant Hill with the 3-point attempt, no good, but Meek coming in for the second shot, and Grant, boy, he got an awful lot of the pumpkin there.
3 fouls on Brian Grant. And that is not good news. Sykes coming into the game. I beg your pardon. We've just been corrected. It's 2 fouls against Grant.
Still bad news.
It is bad news because you have 10 minutes and 11 seconds remaining in the first half. And they're not as deep as Duke, the Musketeers.
Well, they'll play about 8 or 9. We've seen Eric Edwards come off the bench. Is that the only guy we've seen come off the bench?
No, we've seen Edwards come off. Massey come off.
Right, Massey came in momentarily.
And Ken Harvey checked in just a few moments ago briefly and is back in. 24 in blue. But they don't have the experience in places like this with that depth. And Blakeney knocks one home. His first 3. Duke comes back to gain the lead by 1. Blakeney gets it again. Hill. Finally, they get one to fall. Larry Sykes. That's just 3 for their last 14, Xavier. Hanging around at 18-17.
Boy, what a nice job by Xavier to go right back at Duke after the made field goal and get an opportunity in transition. One of the benefits of running is that you get good second shot looks because the defense isn't set and lanes to the offensive glass are available.
Ken Harvey looking down low to find Grant. A little overplay by Meek.
Good job by Meek. Grant not aggressive going after the orange.
Parks works over Grant. You can only go so long not hitting field goals in this building. Sooner or later, the Blue Devils are going to get the best of you.
Well, Cherokee Parks has worked. I can't hear myself in here.
Too much muscle. You could read Pete Gillen's lips. He's going to take the timeout.
And people might wonder why not wait the 30 seconds or so, but it's time to get one to regroup.
He recognizes he's living on borrowed time early.
Okay, what are they?
I want to know what Xavier's shooting in the last since the first TV timeout. You know, I mean, they're awful. 20-17, Duke leading by 3 with 8.5 minutes remaining. Tim Brando, Clark Kellogg, happy to be with you as our college basketball festival in December continues. Louisville a winner earlier today against Michigan State. And even more yet to come later tonight. Nice look from Meek to Antonio Lang. Xavier showing some signs of being rattled, and Pete Gillen took the timeout. He needs a bucket right here. They are 2 for their last 11 after hitting their first 4 of 6 shots.
Well, Duke's made an adjustment defensively. They've gone into a zone, which has kept the ball from getting inside and has also given them an opportunity to challenge the perimeter shots.
Duke foul on number 21,
Antonio Lang picked up that foul. His first 6th team foul against Duke. Walker was cutting to the basket there, and Lang got in the way. Still a tough pass, though, by Gentry. Hawkins looking to find some offense. Massey's a good shooter. Finds Hawkins. And an outstanding dish there from Jeff Massey, the junior from Elkhart, Indiana. And there's another hand check being called against Michael Hawkins.
Boy, you talk about the versatility of Grant Hill. Look at this. He's going to make the pass before the assist. Beats the double team, then a nice touch pass from Meek. But Grant Hill showing you his versatility. Pushed the ball ahead, got it to the open guy, and then Meek and Lang able to finish it off nicely.
Pete Sears coming into the game for the first time. Sears, a junior from Cleveland, and played at your old high school, didn't he?
St. Joseph High School. Actually, it's Villa Angela St. Joseph now after being merged with the girls' school a couple of years ago.
There's a steal by Hawkins, and he's fouled by Blakely.
That'll put the Musketeers at the free throw line now. That's team foul number 7.
Number 20, Chris Collins returns to the line.
Chris Collins is coming back in for the Blue Devils. Eric Meek did a pretty nice job when he came into the game. Very active.
He's a very active big body. I mean, he exerts himself while he's on the floor, and he's got pretty good legs, and he's active around the goal, so he's able to do some good things.
2 points and 2 boards for Meek already in the game, but so much of what he does is not reflected in the box score.
Boy, you look at what...
Musketeers are finding out about the student body here at Cameron Indoor every time they get to the line, aren't they? College basketball coming again Tuesday night. A nice doubleheader. Notre Dame and Indiana. Alan Henderson fresh off that win against Kentucky today. And you'll see Maryland taking on Oklahoma as the Terrapins travel to Norman to take on the Sooners. Idaho and Washington State also coming up. All of that Tuesday night. Massey. Over the back, Hawkins that time. Not a good idea. That's his second. Pete Gillen.
Well, he works up a lather over there, doesn't he?
He sure does.
His second personal foul.
He was commenting to us today that this game obviously put together a nice TV matchup. Grant coming back into the game. He's been sitting the last couple of minutes. But he made the comment that our game with Duke, I mean, let's face it, guys, it's a lube job for Michigan next week. They're bringing us in so they can be better oiled and ready to go when they take on Michigan in Ann Arbor. Sherwin Anderson, the freshman from Brooklyn, New York. Bishop Laughlin comes into the game.
Confident young player.
Spears brings it down. Duke leading by 3. Game that has not been textbook from an offensive standpoint, to say the least. look to Grant.
Quick release inside. Catch it and go to the rack. No dribble. Keep it high. Finish the play.
That's the first basket for Grant since the first 3 minutes when the Musketeers got out to that quality start and built a 7-point lead. Collins, that's his spot. Won't fall. Lang very active on the glass, keeping it alive. And Hill runs it down. Lang again.
What a find. What a find by Grant Hill. See, at 6'8", when he gets the ball out top, he's able to see open people immediately.
Brian Grant. Rejected by Cherokee Parks. Hill has numbers. 4 on 3 to Collins.
There's a push on Antonio Lang.
So it goes back to Xavier. 18 fouls now against Duke.
Texas off to a little bit of a slow start this season.
That's the second loss for them against the Southeastern Conference team. LSU beat them a week ago. Capel coming back in. And Antonio Lang takes a seat. Sherwin Anderson at the line. They are struggling at the stripe, and the student body is due in large part to that.
And they make it a little difficult for you to concentrate. Xavier, though, not a strong free throw shooting team anyway.
8 points for Grant Hill. Duke's lead is 5. Largest lead of the game for the Blue Devils. Good screen by Grant, allowing the jam from Pete Sears. 26-23. Marty Clark. Out of bounds, control to Duke. Blue Devils have Greg Newton in the game. Youngster that is sporting that razor cut. And he's a youngster that has an outstanding future, they believe here.
Take a look at Brian Grant. Watch him just shield. Actually, what happened was Newton got in the way of Grant Hill, and that allowed Pete Sears free reign to the rack.
Newton is the youngster that was screened there, and here's another turnover. Marty Clark picks up the foul, and Sherwin Anderson making a difference at that speed.
He had something to say to the Duke student body there. Little jaw jacking. I told you he was a confident young fellow.
Yeah, Sykes came right over to him and said, remember now, we're on the road.
Watch this nice take. Drew the contact with the body. Now let's check this out. Right back at you, buddy. Oh, you like that confidence. You have to walk that thin line between cockiness and confidence.
Well, let's face it, it wouldn't be right if Pete Gillen didn't have a kid from Brooklyn playing for him, right?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Now, see, that's the topper right there. You can't go selling wolf tickets if you don't knock down your free throws. So Sherwin Anderson talked a little bit and then backed it up. Halfway.
Yeah. 26-24. Blue Devils by 2. But you have to admire the Musketeers' tenacity on the defensive end, Clark. Duke not running away to hide. A follow for Capel. His first basket, 28-24.
Duke back to the man-to-man defense.
Massey, Gentry, Skiles. There's Sykes. He draws the foul. Newton picking it up. There he is, the youngster from Canada, who would have been one of the top candidates for accolades coming out of high school had he played in the United States rather than Canada. He's from Ontario.
Take a look at this. Sherwin Anderson just going to walk right by Chris Collins, draw Newton, and then Sykes on the initial miss. But there's the foul right there as Newton tries to get it back. Larry
Sykes. That's that's about what they expect from him. 8 points and 8 boards in his first game against Division III Marietta.
And 2 or 3 frowns a game.
Yeah.
You know, he wants to stare down the opposition. And with that body and that demeanor, boy, take a look at those eyes there. Brian Grant, Player of the Year in the MCC last season.
Struggling at the line and paying on the other end. Hill to Lang. 30-24 Blue Devils. 10 for Antonio Lang. Massey. The perimeter jumpers just not falling. They haven't since the first TV timeout for Xavier. 4 minutes deep into the game. Oh, what?
Don't do that, Grant Hill.
Big time.
Don't do that. Off the penetration. (32-24), largest lead of the game for the Blue Devils. Sykes misses in the lane, and Hill's got it going again. Collins. It's not falling for Chris Collins tonight. Xavier just needs to find a way to knock down a few perimeter jumpers. Because when they go inside, turnovers usually occur. Chris Collins will pick up the foul prior to the shot against Anderson.
New foul number 20, Chris Collins, is first.
First foul on Collins. They've long since been over the limit. Grant, you saw the intensity in his eyes when he was waiting to check in. He does finally get in during the dead ball. And Sykes sits down.
Tim, you mentioned the fact that Xavier has been in the bonus for quite some time, but there you see what's going on from the free throw line. They've not taken advantage. Only 3 of 11. That's good if you're playing baseball, but that won't do when you're talking about shooting the orange.
New arrangement from the student body each time, and while participants in the ACC may be used to that,
it's different for the Musketeers.
You're right.
They almost wax as poetic as Timmy B.
Out of bounds, cleared to do. 2:54 remaining. We told you at the top of the show, could he raise his level of play to become the pure point? He's making his point, Grant Hill.
The Blue Devils by 7. Take a look at this move by Grant Hill. Shake him, take him, draw the defense, drop a dime. Jeff Capel, the one that receives the pass from Hill.
And from the moment that Grant Hill goes to the point position, Pete Gillen's got a matchup problem. And I don't know that he can solve it.
There's a couple of ways you play a versatile big guy. You can put a smaller guy on him and really harass him, stay in his chest, really make him work, and try not to let him post up. Or you can put a mid-sized guy on him that can stay in front of him and battle him. I would be more inclined to go with the smaller, quicker guy and just try to keep Grant Hill away from the ball in the low post area. And right now, Hawkins on Grant Hill.
Oh, that's just a bad foul by Eric Edwards. Reached out, put the hands on the hips, and gave up an easy one, really, to Cherokee Parks.
See, they're in here jockeying for position, and see, he's got his hands all over Parks. To me, you want to front a low-post player, but when he's in the mid-post area, you almost have to play behind him and see if he can prove that he can beat you.
And it's not as if, Clark, he didn't have some help coming over.
That's what I mean. Just not recognizing where his help was coming from and where Parks was in the low post. Actually, Parks was closer to the high post area, moving towards the foul line on that play. We talked about Grant Hill needing to be high profile, high power. After the first 3 minutes, he was in his low profile mode.
Yeah.
But he stepped it up in a big way here the last 12 or 13 minutes.
Grant Hill, 8 points, 6 boards, 6 assists. And Antonio Lang gets caught with a foul, and Mike Krzyzewski can't believe it. That's the 3rd foul against Antonio Lang. Now, in past years, Lang could give himself up from a defensive standpoint, but no longer.
Let's take a look. Nice bounce pass on the penetration by Hawkins. That's Walker rising, and Lang right with him. Oh, let's keep playing. Let's keep playing, folks. Hawkins drops it inside. Walker, Lang. Oh, we've got to keep playing that one. Good play up top. I agree with you, Antonio.
Sits down next to Marty Clark, still jawing about it. But you do agree that Antonio Lang can no longer give himself up defensively. He's got to hang around for a lot of minutes this year.
But their whole emphasis in coming into this game, speaking of the Duke Blue Devils, was to be more aggressive. Nothing easy at the basket. They didn't want anything like that to happen. A second shot off of a missed free throw. But they've pretty much been the aggressors since that first TV timeout.
Grant got the follow. It's a 34-28 game, and now Xavier with a rare breakaway. 3-on-2, and look at the Duke defense get back. Hawkins, the trailer, can't hit it from the perimeter. And there's a reach in against Grant, and that is number 3 against Brian Grant.
He'll have to park himself for the next 2 minutes until halftime. Pete Gillen can't afford to leave him out there with 3.
19 foul against the Musketeers. And Pete Sears checks back in. Sears played at Hutchinson Community College in Kansas and did a very nice job there. Prides himself as a defensive player, and he'll need to play some defense the rest of the way. Look at the rebounding story. Duke dominant since we were about 5 minutes into the game.
Yeah. They've really stepped it up on the glass and defensively. As you take a look at Brian Grant.
It'll only get worse with him located there. One aspect about this Duke team, and I know it's early, but as long as Cherokee Parks is playing and Grant Hill is out there, this team does become much more of a half-court team than it was in the early days. Don't you? Do you agree?
I think so, but what you're going to see is that this guy, look at this, stat sheet stuffer supreme. Look at this, 9 points, 7 boards, 6 dimes, and we're not to the break. We're not to the break yet, Tim. But Grant Hill, because he can rebound the ball so well defensively, I think will become the guy that triggers the break off the dribble. He doesn't need to make an outlet pass when he defensive board. It's one and done for the Musketeers.
Michael Hawkins just cannot buy a jumper. Capel.
See, Xavier really not getting anything. Oh, nice move.
Oh. Eric Meek. Not so Meek tonight. And there's an example of Grant Hill becoming more vocal as a leader.
Playing with great emotion. Good baseline take by Capel. No good. Look at Meek flying in from the foul line to pick up that offensive board. Nobody got a body on him. And now, talk about emotion. Talk about defending your home court. And as Coach K talked yesterday, let's get back to Duke basketball. Defense, rebounding, intensity, emotion.
Blue Devils seizing a double-digit lead with 1:32 remaining until the intermission. Eric Edwards now is playing with 3, so 2 of the bigger bodies in foul trouble for the Musketeers.
Duke has done a nice job changing defenses, man-to-man to matchup zone.
Hawkins and Sears keeping it alive, but it won't fall. Now numbers. Marty Clark. Capel. Kept alive, but cleared by Hawkins.
Should have numbers here.
2-on-1. And jammed home with authority by Tyrese Walker. And they're calling the technical. It's a point of emphasis this year.
Let's see now, if he gets exaggerated with the spread eagle of the legs, Yeah, I think that's a good call. A little extra hanging there by Tyrese Walker.
Collins at the line to shoot the free throws for Duke. He'll get 2. Coming up at halftime, the Delta Faucet halftime report. Our friend John Saunders. A busy day as always. Highlights from Kentucky and Indiana. More top 25 upsets. So what else is new? I'm sure John will tell us.
Well, you know, early in the season, I think you only have upsets because people get locked into what the ratings say. Because on paper and when you look at matchups, there aren't an awful lot of upsets at this stage of the season.
Offensive foul against Grant Hill. That's his second. With 49 seconds left, you can bet Pete Gillen wants a quality sequence from an offensive standpoint here. Hill will take a seat with the 2. He asks for some motion offensively. Like to get it to single digits. Edwards double team. Xavier throwing up a lot of prayers down low. Finally, it falls for Edwards.
Good work that time on the boards. Pete Sears kept that alive.
41-32. Duke by 9. Their largest lead, 11.
If you're Xavier, you want to defend without fouling and then rebound the missed shot. Tyrese Walker should just try to keep Collins in front.
Eric Meat touched it last, so one last opportunity for Xavier coming up with 4 ticks remaining here in the first half.
Well, that's ample time to get a good look. With the speed of a Hawkins, if you can have somebody else maybe inbounding it and let him go, or maybe get it to Gentry. But you want to try to receive this ball as close to half court as possible. You got to get it in, though.
There's the high one to Sears. Sort of nonchalanted that follow. He had an opportunity to get it back and put it up. You can't be nonchalant in this building. Blue Devils lead it by 9. Let's get to our studio and John Saunders. John?
All right, Tim and Clark, thanks a lot. Duke with a 9-point lead. Xavier came out strong, had the lead earlier, but couldn't hold on to it. Second half is straight ahead. Right now, it's time for the Delta Faucet halftime report. Scores and highlights. Number 1 Kentucky included. A loser today. We'll explain in a moment.
ESPN's exclusive coverage of NCAA basketball is brought to you by the new Dodge, a division of the Chrysler Corporation.
Welcome back once again to the Delta Faucet halftime report. Duke with the lead over Xavier at halftime. Very busy Saturday of college basketball. Kentucky coach Rick Pitino, when he was named number 1, said, "We do not deserve it. It's too early in the season. We are too young." Well, Bobby Knight might have known and agreed with that, because in this game, Indiana had their way. Here is Knight to Damon Bailey. Bailey with 23 points in the first half. Tony Delk, though, knocks down a 3-pointer, and Kentucky had a 4-point lead. But Indiana was up 11 at halftime. Alan Henderson is free, jams this one down, and Indiana goes on to the win. 96-84 is the final. Neutral site, but it is called the Hoosier Dome. Damon Bailey, only 6 points in the second half, but finished with 29 and 5 assists as well. Santa Clara facing Cal. Second meeting this year. Hard to believe for 2 teams in different conferences, but they met in the NIT, and Dick Davey looking for the upset this time. Jason Kidd rips off Sedlock to Lamont Murray. He jams it down. Santa Clara was up 2 at halftime, though. Eisenrich with a 3-pointer. He had 17 on the night. Cal's lead is 1. Steve Nash, that is a 3-pointer, and Santa Clara led at 64-62. They go on to the 80-67 win. They lost 81-74 in the NIT's first round. The Big East starting their conference a little early this season, and Georgetown, ranked number 25, facing Villanova. This one being played at the former Capitol Center, now the U.S. Air Center. Kerry Kittles with his 3-pointer ties the game at 65 apiece. Georgetown calls a timeout. George Butler trying to win it, misses the three. We go to overtime. Villanova up 3 with 3 left, and Kittles fouls Eric Miku. So he gets 3 shots. Steve Lapis is beside himself. John Thompson can't bear to look. Miku made the first 2, then missed the third, and so Villanova wins in overtime, 76-75. Roscoe Harris, Villanova, led all scorers with 24 points. Northwestern State facing Arkansas. The Razorbacks, if you had a chance to see them last week here on ESPN, they are very impressive. Corey Beck, nice pass to Dwight Stewart for the easy 2. But then Kenny McMillan with a couple of threes. Northwestern State actually led this game, 13-12 at that point. And Arkansas's lead right now is just 16-13 with about 12 minutes to go in the first half. UMass facing St. Bonaventure. UMass ranked number 9 on the season, or number 9 rather, this season coming in. And John Calipari's Minutemen off to a fast start. Derek Kellogg with a 3, and then Kellogg once again with a 3. UMass up by 9. Harry Moore, though, of St. Bonaventure goes over 1,000 points for his career. UMass leading it now, 35-28 is that score. Michigan State against Louisville. The Cardinals get the win, 77-68. Greg Minor with 25 points there, and in a losing cause, Sean Respert had 26. Virginia, well, perhaps they're trying to bounce back from that loss against Connecticut a week ago. 59-51, they win against Rice. Junior Burrow with 15 points and 11 rebounds. Georgia Tech and Georgia State, this one no contest, 23-point game at halftime, 53-30. And GW facing South Carolina, this one being played in Charlotte, 58-48. Just about 11 minutes to go in the game. Kwame Evans of GW with 16 points in the first half alone. We'll continue with more scores and highlights in just a moment. In the Big East, Seton Hall leads St. John's 19-15, and Providence a loser to Pitt this afternoon.
This halftime report is presented by the Delta Faucet Company. Delta, the way water is brought to life. ESPN's exclusive coverage of NCAA basketball has been brought to you by Range Rover, the ultimate luxury car from Land Rover.
Welcome you back to Cameron Indoor Stadium. Along with Clark Kellogg, I am Tim Brando. The Blue Devils of Duke with a 9-point lead against Xavier. Clark, as we begin the second half, they're going to have to solve the problem of getting Brian Grant involved and making him the general that he's known to be in the Cincinnati area.
Here you're going to see an example of good active defense. Nice job here by Eric Meek to work around. Tough pass for Grant to handle. And then the active hands. That's Blakely that's going to come up with the loose ball. And then he's going to push it ahead to Grant Hill, who had a huge first half for the flush finish.
We open the second half with Xavier triggering it in.
I would expect Xavier to play more inside out. They got a little quick with the perimeter shots after the first timeout, first TV timeout, and didn't have the same success from the perimeter.
Blakeney drives baseline. Lang very active. They're going to call it a walk prior to the shot.
Yeah, self-pass there. Interesting, Brian Grant has 3 fouls. He'll have to go a good 9 or 10 minutes if you're a Xavier fan, hoping that he doesn't get foul number 4. Take a look at him, 3 of 7 in that first half. Only got a couple of good looks. He also had 3 rebounds. He got 8 points, but Xavier only 5 of 16 free throws, and they actually had 4 more field goal attempts than did Duke in that first half.
Tough pass to make inside, a bounce pass, and it's stolen. Antonio Lang off the dribble. Hill keeps it alive. Cherokee Parks clears it. They leave Clark open. Out of bounds. It'll go to Xavier. There are your halftime stats, and you see second chance points all with Duke.
There you see +9 in that category, and then 5 of 16 from the free throw line. It's a 9-point game at the half, Tim. You shoot, you make 4 or 5 more free throws, which isn't that great a number, 10 out of 16, and you're only down 4 or 5.
And a number of the younger players got to the line, as you see Grant putting it in with authority.
That nice strong drop step to create a space and an angle to the basket. That's one of the things that Mike Krzyzewski wanted his team not to do, allow Brian Grant angles to the basket.
Cherokee Parks wants it on the blocks. And he gets caught with a push. That's 3 on Cherokee.
Now, you and I both know that Xavier is a gritty team. Now, they're down 9 at the half, but there's no doubt in my mind that they're going to come out fighting, clawing, and probably get themselves back in this one.
Again, the double team of Grant. He finds Sykes, who nails one. 4 points in the game for Larry Sykes. And that particular play on the other end made by Grant, you see the foul committed by Gentry. That play on the other end is what they need more of.
Exactly. Take a look at Brian Grant getting busy, sitting down in the post, catching it, drop step, strong base, angle to the goal. Off the window, mark it up, and let's go back. He may have actually gotten away with a little walk there. He jumped up, but he had a good, powerful base.
Hill over Sykes, and he draws the foul from Larry Sykes.
On Xavier's number 54, Larry Sykes.
First foul on Sykes.
First on the team.
Pete Gillen had to feel good about the start to this game, but probably was concerned that his team was a bit intimidated on putback opportunities.
Yeah, you can't be in a hurry inside. You've got to be quick, but you mustn't be in a hurry. And I think the Musketeers, when they did get second shot opportunities, were a little in a hurry. Duke's blocked 20 shots in their first 2 games, so you can understand them looking for Cherokee Parks and Lang and Grant Hill once they got offensive rebounds in that first half.
And it's really the only area where they have looked as if they weren't sure of themselves. In every other aspect of the game, Xavier seems to be very confident.
Well said, and a good point.
7-point lead, 43-36. Duke. 2.5 minutes gone, second half. Grant, baseline extended. Lang tries to save it and does so right to Grant.
You hear coaches always talk about not saving the ball under the opposition's basket. That's a prime example why.
12 points for Grant. There's a steal by Sykes.
Pass was telegraphed.
Walker tried for the cross-court pass in the lane area for Grant. Nice idea, but a turnover, the end result. And he applauds it. Nothing wrong with that kind of idea. Pete Gillen feeling pretty good about his team as we're just 3 minutes deep here in the second half. It's a 5-point game at Cameron Indoor.
Here you take a look at Brian Grant getting a good look at the basket, but the play really happens here. Activity underneath. Lang tries to save it, but there's not a blue devil jersey close to the orange, and Brian Grant, right place, right time for an easy one.
Brian Grant is 2 for 3 here in the second half, 5 for 10 in the game, 12 points and 4 rebounds, and that's the good news. The bad news is he's saddled with 3.
Well, really, if he can get to the halfway point or better without picking up his 4th, that will be a job well done, playing with 3 fouls.
Lang lost his footing again. We've seen a number of players slip tonight. Floor sweating, as is Pete Gillen's brow at this point. Grant Hill gets the shooter's touch for 14. 45-38 Blue Devils.
at Brian Grant sit down in that post. Good D by Parks.
That's the kind of aggression that Mike Krzyzewski wants to see from him. Antonio Lang really wants it. He sees a mismatch between he and Hawkins. Collins. And a foul as Antonio Lang went hard after the rebound.
Arkansas has turned around that deficit, +9 now. They were actually down 9 at one point, so that's an 18-point turnaround.
You can have 18-point runs at Arkansas. Ask Larry Conley and yours truly the other night.
2 or 3 times a game.
Parks. Cherokee has 6. Duke extends the lead back to 9.
For the timeout, producing the desired results. Duke regrouping and regaining that comfort zone. You know, sometimes people wonder why call the timeout when you see there's 20 to 30 seconds before the TV timeout, but coaches typically will go by what they feel, and a lot of times if it mandates a timeout, regardless of what the clock says, they feel like they need to sit their players down and get them refocused. We've seen that happen twice tonight, once each way.
I think there's also a feeling among coaches as see the shot clock down to 7 that you can go ahead and call those timeouts early because the clock's going to stop in the last minute of the game anyway.
Good point.
Collins. The trailer is Hill. Missed the chippy. Hawkins got in his way to make the shot more difficult. Hawkins on the other end. Oh, he's struggling with that perimeter jumper. Sykes gets in the passing lane. Numbers for Xavier.
Forget it.
Tyrese Walker gets it to fall.
Tyrese Walker.
The easy way. And don't forget, Sunday night NFL action continues on ESPN. The Bengals and the 49ers all gets underway with prime time. And then it's Cincinnati and San Francisco 49ers. Look for the Steve Young to Jerry Rice connection as the 49ers try to extend their lead in the NFC West. 47-40 our score here. Every time Duke gets that lead out to 9 or 11, the tenacity of the Musketeers comes back to the forefront. See the timeouts remaining. Duke with 2, Xavier 1.
Xavier doing a lot of switching on crosses.
Cherokee Parks. That's his 13th rebound, which equals his career high. So he has been active on the low blocks, responding to the challenge of Brian Grant.
Well, anytime you're going to do a lot of switching, as the Musketeers have done, then you're going to leave guys loose on the glass. See, Parks just pushes his way inside. Good timing, good ball fakes there, able to draw the foul. But Xavier doing an awful lot of cross screen, or actually switching on the Duke cross screens and getting lost, and a lot of times you end up with big on little.
There you see it, the career high of 13 on the board. Hill, ever present on the offensive glass. Parks drives the baseline. That's my point, though, Clark. Sometimes when they go up for rebounds, Hill knocks it home. They could have just gone up and grabbed it, and instead they're tipping it around. That's when they seemingly lose their confidence when going for a rebound.
Yeah, they haven't been aggressive enough. You're exactly right, Tim. To rebound the ball, you've got to squeeze it.
That's an offensive foul against Sykes. And Cherokee is some pumped.
Penetration by Sykes. Parks right there. Good position. That's a no-brainer.
3 fouls on Sykes. 3 fouls on Brian Grant. And you see the second chance points. Duke leading by a bundle.
That's about the margin in the game. It's a 12-point difference there, and it's a 10-point game.
DeJuan Rose, the junior from Chicago, comes in the game. They're looking for him to have a more significant role this year with his team. Xavier obviously stepping up in class of competition tonight on the road. They will be a powerhouse again in the Midwest and in the MCC.
Tough matchup for Gentry. He's really got to try to turn Grant Hill as he's bringing it up and maybe get some help from a teammate. Once Grant Hill gets between the circles, he's just able to back the smaller Gentry down and get whatever he wants offensively.
Hill gets Grant and Gentry turned around. There's Lang on the offensive glass. Duke just quicker to the ball. Collins, it finally falls. He waited a long time, and the iron was kind.
Why did I know that was coming?
Blue Devils looking for the major league run. Capel fires the three. And again, Xavier, their own worst enemy, on the defensive boards.
You got to board it. You can't do anything if you don't rebound it. That's what Pete Gillen is saying. Somebody's got to start squeezing the orange for the Musketeers. Chris Collins, you know, he's got a knuckleball shot. Doesn't really have much rotation. Got the favorable bounce there, but I don't think you'll see that much with his shot. Typically, it'll just find the bottom or not go in.
Wave it off. That'll be a charge. Second foul, and you see Mike Krzyzewski saying, pressure, pressure. Get back up in their face.
Critical juncture here for the Musketeers. Duke senses they have a chance to really take control of this. That's why Coach K imploring his troops to keep the pressure on, keep the pressure on. They're trying to break down the resistance of the Musketeers in this stretch before the TV timeout.
His problem still is turnovers. They've committed 8 more than Xavier, but the Musketeers' problems on the defensive glass negates all of that.
Exactly.
Massey for 3. Meek saves it to Marty Clark. That'll be a charge and a good call. Good defensive work and anticipation by Steve Gentry. Third foul on Marty Clark. Every time Xavier's at this point, they manage to get it back to 7.
Good job. Gentry doing a nice job anticipating where Clark wanted to go. Sacrificed the body, and I guess he was saying that felt good.
Grant Hill will get a rest. 17 points for the captain.
He's in triple-double territory, isn't he, Tim?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. He was at 7 and 6 to go along with the point production just a few moments ago. Here are those putback opportunities we talked about, and this time, Jeff Massey gets this one. 53-42, an 11-point Blue Devil lead. Capel now operating at the point. Collins runs the curl and finds the open Clark.
He walked.
Yep. Dick Paparo spotted it from the top. Just as did Special K. 20 turnovers now for Duke.
That's an area of concern, but the point you made just a moment ago, the lack of rebounding their defensive board has allowed those turnovers not to be a factor on the scoreboard. But you play with fire, eventually you get burned.
Massey picks up the foul from Capel.
Mike Krzyzewski has a relatively inexperienced team out there. Well, at least the backcourt with, although Collins played an awful lot last year, and Capel out there running the show.
Grant Hill comes back in. Capel takes a seat with 11:52 remaining in the game. Speaking of Coach K, you know, he has been so active with the NABC and with a number of other major issues that are involving college basketball. All of those achievements, and then taking the initiative to help the game as he did, particularly last year. This is a man that's been working a great deal, not only for the good, or the common good of Duke, but for the game itself.
I talked to him a little bit yesterday and asked him what didn't he like about his job, and he said the limited access to his players, and that's one of the things that all coaches are trying to get rectified.
Coach K gets a 13-point lead, and suddenly it dwindles.
Northwestern State had built a big lead against number 2 Arkansas, but Alex Dillard knocks down a 3, then comes up with a steal, and will score again. And Arkansas has opened up the lead, 54-35. Back to Tim and Clark.
You can bet they're going hog wild at their brand new barn. That is, along with Duke and a few other spots, Fog Allen Fieldhouse, those are some of the best spots in college basketball.
Well, how do you rate the new arena? You had a chance to be there just the other night. 5-star?
Oh, 5-star, without question. Quick, a turnover, and Massey throws up a perimeter shot. Grant follows. Again, they lose their aggressiveness on the offensive boards. They're not going up as strongly with those offensive putbacks.
Yeah, Grant tried to finesse that one as opposed to just flushing it or using the window, and ended up missing a chip in. That would have been a big basket.
Sure would.
They were in a little mini run here.
They have 4 unanswered at this point after Duke got a 13-point lead. Well, Parks gave a pretty nice pick. Meek on the offensive end. Grant got in the way.
Boy, nice play by Pete Sears.
Oh, that's a tie ball. The arrow to Duke.
But still, second shots galore. Buffet style all night long for the Blue Devils on the glass.
Hill runs the curl and knocks it home. That's as sweet a half-court offensive play as you'll see.
On the baseline out of bounds play.
Lang with a rejection. Nice look inside the Hill off the pass from Tyrese Walker.
Xavier trying to turn up the pressure a bit. That's the thing I do. Try to get it out of Grant Hill's hands, because typically when he has it, good things happen.
Brian Grant now has 16 after that hoop for the Xavier Musketeers. Lang works over Grant. Hill with a crossover dribble. Uses the glass. Meek again. I mean, they're playing ping pong with it on the offensive boards.
They're just crushing them on the window. And that was a concern. Pete Gillen told us that rebounding was one of his major concerns, and boy, has that borne itself out.
Sears with a runner on the baseline.
You know, Sears missed considerable practice time with a deep thigh bruise. They expect him to be a major contributor to this club. He's active at both ends of the floor, and as he gets in shape, he'll be a factor.
He just had the steal, and he sends it to Walker. Hill picks up the foul. Ooh, whooping there from Grant Hill.
Hill said, you can't bring that in here, Tyrese. Not to finish. You've got to do it from the foul line. But I like the aggressiveness of Tyrese Walker. If he was a good 1-foot jumper, he would have been able to beat Grant Hill. He had to stop to gather himself with 2 feet. Look at this. See, he's got to stop to bounce. If he could have just floated in off 1 foot, that could have been B-roll material. Look at Grant. Yeah. You can't bring it in here, not in my house.
Now, what was that you said at the top of the show you want him to be this year?
High power, high profile. The last 3 years, because of Leitner and Hurley, he's been high power in terms of his game, but low profile in terms of his stature. Now he's got to elevate his stature to equal his game.
Defensively there, the octane kicked in.
You know where I got that line from? The barber shop in Columbus. You can find Tim.
Amazing things you learn when getting a new dude. And the problems at the line continue.
Grant's got a new do. That's a little shorter than it was yesterday at practice.
7 of 19 as a team from the stripe, Xavier. Make that 8 of 20.
But look at this, Tim. It's an 8-point game. They're still maintaining contact.
Opportunity coming. Meek just keeping it alive for this.
The Musketeers are getting far too deep under the basket. They're getting pushed underneath, and any rebound that goes to the middle of the paint belongs to the Blue Devils.
21 for Grant Hill. That's a season high. Massey on the other end, and that's what they anticipate from Jeff Massey. Instant offense. Out of Owens Technical College in Toledo, Ohio, a JC star, and there he is on the other end. Finishing offensively. Jeff Massey has 7 off the bench. Maintaining contact, these Musketeers have been up to that challenge.
And the more they can keep it out of number 33's hands, the better chances they have of forcing turnover.
Antonio Lang gains his 11th point. Gentry with the left-hander. Collins slipping again. That's a travel, but again, the floor is wet. Collins having difficulty on 2 separate occasions there. We'll be back.
People have to realize that I'm me, and I have my own personality, and the thing I can't do is try to be like them. I got to be Grant Hill, and be happy about being Grant Hill, and not worry about what everyone says. Just play for the team, play for Coach K, play for myself. And I think everything will take care of itself in doing that.
So far, job well done, Grant. He's 3 away in 2 categories from a triple-double.
A touchdown. But he was talking about the departure of Hurley and Christian Laettner, who were more demonstrative personalities, and yet he can still be the leader of this club within his own personality.
On the wing. He had more success on the other side. See if he goes back to the other wing in the next offensive sequence. Parks there with another offensive rebound and slam. 17 rebounds for Cherokee Parks. And look at the second chance points. 32-9, Duke totally demolishing Xavier down low. Yet the score still very much in doubt.
Yeah, those kinds
Let's go back to John Saunders in our studio. John?
Thanks a lot, Tim. Seton Hall against St. John's in the Big East opener for each team. Brown finding Adrian Griffin. He had 8 points in the first half. Seton Hall has a 6-point lead. Back to you.
All right, John, 63-54 our score. Duke leading by 9 here at Cameron Indoor. 7 minutes left.
Yeah, that's a tough foul on Brian Grant. If you were watching away from the ball, folks, he just got a little frustrated and pushed Eric Meek right in the chest. And there's never a good fourth foul, but that's about as bad as you can get a fourth foul.
He managed to hang around with 3 until the 7-minute mark.
And he just waved off the staff, and they're going to acquiesce and allow him to stay on the floor with 4. But it's pretty much that time in the game.
Yeah, it is.
They've got to leave him out there and hope he can get it going offensively without picking up foul number 5.
16 points and 6 rebounds for Brian Grant. Capel penetrates. Rejected by Grant. Again, the loose ball seized by the Blue Devils. Shot clock down to 2. Blakeney. Big basket there. 65-54. Blakeney with 5. But more importantly, the lead back to double digits and an opportunity gone for the Xavier defense.
Make it 34-9 second chance points.
Lang got a piece of that one from Tyrese Walker. This stage of the game, throughout much of this season, you're going to see Grant Hill right there on the floor.
He's such a clever ball handler and passer. See, there he is. You got to get it out of his hands. Try to make somebody else beat you.
It's a matchup problem, and you will hear the wrath of the Cameron Crazies here at Duke.
This is literally breaking a guy down to the ground. Grant Hill loses Massey, finds Capel. Mark it up for 3.
He has taken his role seriously.
But when you've got his kind of game, it doesn't take much. These guys will follow the leader.
8-0 run for the Blue Devils in the last 3 minutes. They now have their largest lead of 14. Kenny Harvey's coming to the game. Ken Harvey, number 24 in blue for Xavier. They need a hoop here desperately.
Harvey, a good shooter.
They find the man they wanted to find, and Parks rejects it. 3 blocks for Cherokee Parks tonight.
He's got such excellent timing on the block shots. Waits to the very last minute as the shot's released and then throws it out of there.
Hill. Parks claims yet another offensive rebound.
Matchup here for the Musketeers, because if he gets to the foul line, Grant Hill has 4 or 5 options.
And the 5-second call that's changed has a lot to do with this philosophy,
Sure,
doesn't it?
sure, no question about it. You got a guy with his skill. Now they're putting on a clinic.
Oh yeah. Last touch by Xavier. Blue Devils may be putting the exclamation point on right now. Ten-0 run for the Blue Devils in the last 2.5 minutes. Brian Grant, who had high expectations tonight, fell into foul difficulty early and is hanging on with 4 right now. Capel. 72-54 as Capel went to the basket. Grant Hill was almost asking him to bring it back out. He got away with one. I think Hill wanted to use some clock there.
You can't pass up a layup, though. Boy, I tell you what, in the hustle category areas, second shots, loose balls, Duke clearly dominant. I think they've gotten 4 out of every 5 loose balls, and we know the work they've done on the offensive glass.
Grant now has 4. He's playing with a strained ligament in his right thumb. That's the reason for the bandage that you see there. Obviously, it's not it's hurting his game.
No hindrance at all.
Slight ligament problem there, but not a problem. And Cherokee is having quite an evening, almost worm-like numbers offensively, right? 19 boards, about 8 points and 19 boards.
Yeah, they call him the Chief. And he's been dominant on the glass.
Lang is the trailer, draws the foul from Gentry prior to the shot. Just not enough answers for Xavier down low tonight. Pete Gillen has pulled as many strings as he possibly could. His team has been up to just about every challenge. That's Lewis Orr, who's on his staff.
Sweet Lou.
Had a nice NBA career himself.
Played with the Knicks, actually broke into the league after playing at Syracuse with the Pacers.
Yep.
And then played the last 5 or 6 years of his career with the New York Knicks.
Conti Stamos also on Pete's staff.
And Bobby Gonzalez was right there next to him.
.318 remaining. Gentry has 4, as does Brian Grant. With tonight's victory, Duke would have claimed their 83rd consecutive non-conference victory at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Quite a feat.
Well, it's all but done. Certainly is. That goes back to 1983.
Yeah, and the people that were on the floor in those days were the guys that really turned this program around for Coach K. That first class. Blakeney. It'll go back over to Xavier. It's a 20-point game with 2:45 remaining. There you see the streak by the numbers.
Oklahoma gave them a scare last year about this time.
That was a game that was seen here on ESPN.
Right. Move it to 83 after tonight's game.
15-0 run, closing this one out for the Blue Devils. 8 straight misses from the floor for Xavier. Make it 9. Capel got a little fancy, and Walker made him pay. Ending the drought. He has 10 in the game with just over 2 to play.
Well, that's the one thing that Coach Krzyzewski will be able to use to get his club's attention, the number of turnovers, but the effort and intensity has been outstanding for the most part.
Capel with a baseline drive. He's smiling.
He facially resembles Jason Kidd a little bit to me.
He does.
He's got the same kind of build, same complexion. Not quite the same game, but certainly he's been a factor tonight.
Brian Grant has 18 points tonight, but boy, has he had to earn them. Parks on the floor. Lane saves it. Hawkins' hands got in the way. Xavier has quick hands. They will create turnovers as well because of their quickness, and that's an example of it right there. If they can solve the confidence problem on the offensive boards, Pete Gillen's team will be fine, thank you.
They certainly will be by March. But he's got pretty good depth, and as you mentioned, good quickness. They just need to do a better job rebounding the ball.
Parks with the hoop and the harm. The last time they lost at home was to Louisville. Look at those names. Billis, Henderson, Allery, Emma, and Dawkins. A year later, they would really become a highly ranked team when Danny Mahar joined that group. That was the first class that really catapulted Coach K into college basketball's elite.
It has to start somewhere, and for this program, it started with those guys.
Grant fouled out with 18 points tonight. The General will have a better day.
Well, they never really got him established the way they like to get him established. They more or less want to play inside out, weren't able to really get that going, didn't knock down perimeter shots, and then that's been indicative of what's happened all night long. Another rebound for the Blue Devils.
Parks with 12 points and 20 rebounds. Anderson, that's the 4th block of the game by Cherokee. Joey Beard has come in for the first time, number 42 in white. He, along with Carmen Wallace, number 34. You can bet they'll try to get it to him, and they do, and he delivers. Basketball on Tobacco Road, huh?
Nothing quite like it.
Newton cleared it. Capel, looking for Newton, has a turnover. Harvey leads a 4-on-2 break. Eric Edwards rejected by Wallace. It's all over. A magnificent game for Cherokee Parks. Much as his game with Michigan last year, a coming out party for Parks in the paint. An exclamation point this time around against the Xavier Musketeers.
Boy, I can't tell you how huge 20 rebounds is in a college game. That is awesome.
Grant Hill has assumed his role as the leader. It's all over. The Blue Devils win it by a score of 82-60. For Special K, Clark Kellogg, this is Tim Brando saying so long from Cameron Indoor Stadium. Back to John Saunders.
All right, Tim and Clark, thanks a lot. 22-point win for Duke, and one that was actually pretty close for much of the first half. That game number 1 of our doubleheader. Game number 2 coming up next. Kansas, right now ranked number 3 in the nation, but they do have a loss this week to Temple. They will go up against DePaul. Then coming up at 11:30 Eastern time, we move to football. Michigan State against Wisconsin. Win it for the Badgers, and they go to the Rose Bowl. Lose or tie, it's Ohio State.